Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of the program. I am Victor Matthias. Now, the Nigerian education system was once touted as one of the best in the world, drawing the attention of even foreigners. However, the story currently seems to have changed, not for the better. On the program today, our focus will be on finding out how things have changed and what needs to be done to regain the glory of yesteryears. But as always, let's first take a look at social cyberspace trends in the past week. Ghanaians joined queues to decide who will lead them for the next 4 years, and after that process, they chose opposition candidate Nana Akufo-Addo as the new president. Similarly, residents of Rivers State came out to cast their ballots in the rerun federal and state legislative rerun elections. The much anticipated election was twice postponed due to security issues. And Channels TV completed a week of activities celebrating 21 years of professional broadcasting with a gala night attended by dignitaries from far and wide. Well, congratulations once again to everyone at Channels TV for this milestone. But joining us to look at the education system in Nigeria is Dr. Dipo Awojide, who joins us from the United Kingdom, Mohammed Aminu, who also joins us from the United Kingdom, and Boye Oshinaga, who joins us from Lagos, Nigeria. And to get this started, Aminu, how will you rate the education system in Nigeria at the moment?
First of all, I think it is important to remember the words of Nelson Mandela, that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I think that was a very profound and powerful statement. And if anything, it means that the essence and value of education cannot be overemphasized. If education dies, I think a country and a people is dead. Going back to Nigeria, I think that education in Nigeria is at a terrible state, sorry to use that word. And I think it mirrors the Nigerian reality. It's a mirror image of what you have actually in Nigeria. I don't see Nigerian universities, for example, doing better than Nigerian hospitals or being in a better shape than Nigerian roads.
The quality of education in Nigeria cannot be compared to, most Western countries and now some African countries. So think about the education system in Ghana, for example. We now have loads of Nigerian students, higher education students who are ending up in Ghanaian higher institutions or Ghanaian universities. And this is because the quality of education that is being offered in Ghana seems to be better than what Nigerian universities actually offer. This is the same with Cyprus, this is the same with Malaysia. So it's not just the US, it's not the UK or Canada. Nigerian students now go to other mid-class destinations or mid-ranking countries as against preferring to study in their own country. And this is basically because of the offer. This is because of the value that is being offered in the Nigerian education system, which I think overall, at the moment, it is subpar.
Just looking at some of the top global education systems in the world and seeing how they rank in terms of teacher quality, in terms of funding per capita for each student in the country, in terms of teacher training, in terms of quality assurance, in terms of infrastructure. So you see that Nigeria, like I like how Aminu put it, Nigerian educational system is a reflection of the Nigerian reality. So the educational system is, as you know, it's just the same way our roles and power and the rest have been. And how are these things? So what's bad about them isn't where they are, naturally. It's what happens to them year over year, decade over decade. And what we've seen is that not an increase, not an improvement. And if you don't improve, then or you don't stay stagnant, then you more likely are worse off compared to the rest of the world because of how far they have moved. And this is the case of Nigeria because 10 years ago people argued about whether our standards are falling. 10 years after, we're still arguing whether our standards are falling. It's supposed to be self-evident.
Well, not too good commentaries, but what could be responsible for this situation that we're in?
One of them is corruption. So there's a lot of corruption with them, and we don't also seem to pay attention to the important things in the country. So aside corruption, negligence as well. Like it seems our political leaders just don't care about the education sector. They've just left the sector to, on a downward. Things have just, in the last couple of years, things have just gotten worse. So, like I said, corruption, negligence, not paying attention to the education system, not thinking about the welfare or prioritizing the welfare of academics. It's a whole lot of issues, but ultimately, what I think is the most important is the lack of leadership. So there's a clear lack of leadership in the education sector. If in the next couple of years, we get a minister who understands what the system is, who understands what the future should look like, I think we will begin to experience some change in the Nigerian education system.
The implication is that the world no longer takes Nigerian qualifications seriously. I do speak with my dad a lot. He's an academic. He told me that when he was a student of Ahmadu Bello University in the 70s, he had an American classmate who left all the universities in the USA and was studying in Zaria. I remember also how Nasir El-Rufai, the present governor of Kaduna, wrote in his book, The Accidental Public Servant. He narrated how ABU became the first university in the world to offer a degree program in quantity surveying. So what has changed? This is not the case today. People with PhDs from Nigerian universities cannot even find decent jobs abroad, especially in Europe and America, because people here perceive our degrees with a lot of contempt. So it's really unfortunate. There are a lot of issues to it, but these are just a few reflections that I think I will use to back up the argument.
Well, what should Nigeria be doing to get the education system out of the state that it is in at the moment?
So, thinking about the very excellent points that Aminu has made, I completely agree with everything he has said. Things are so bad that, and things were bad 5 years ago, they were bad 7-10 years ago. So we know the problems. So solutions, we need to think about the welfare of academics. First of all, we can't pay academics peanuts and expect them to perform at an excellent level. We can't, allow us to go on strike on a daily basis. And when my dad was still in, when he was still working for the government, the plan that the government worked for actually had was just go on and talk to them for as long as possible. As in, talk to ASU for as long as possible. They didn't have any solutions. It was just as if they didn't really care about the students who would ultimately suffer the consequences of those ASU strikes. So we need to pay attention to the welfare of academics. Our universities also need to think about improving the employability and transferability skills of our undergraduate students. Because like Aminu rightly said, some of our students are not employable because they don't have the necessary skills. They are not creative. they can't multitask, they can't even write a CV. Some can't even compose basic sentences. So our universities need to be structured in such a way that students can learn core employability skills. So when they graduate, they are employable and they can contribute to national development.
All right, so now the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, has actually come up with a roadmap to move the education system forward. Do you think they will indeed serve the purpose for which they were designed? But just before you respond, let's take a moment and look at these pillars. Out-of-school children, vocational education and training, development in ICT, teacher training and adult literacy, focus on basic education, special needs education, education data and planning curriculum, benchmark academic standard, quality access and higher education, and library services.
I think these are very intelligent, well thought out pillars. When you talk about vocational education, it's good. What I understand about vocational education is an education that doesn't take too long to complete. They are for people who don't want to go through, the hurdles of university education, So I think these are okay. We have a lot of need for vocational manpower. Talking about ICT, yes, I think in every serious country in the world, longhand, the system of longhand using education, accessing education by longhand is fast thinning out. So I think that ICT must be incorporated into our educational system, and I welcome that development.
And reviewing the interview and thinking about some of the articles I've seen on these 10 pillars, these are just headline policy statements or headline. There's no much detail. There's nothing concrete. So a couple of months ago, there was actually a document that we saw online about the education policies that Obiezekwe actually came up with. So if you go on the website of the Ministry of Education, we should actually be able to see a clear roadmap, a clear policy direction. This is what we want to do. This is how we want to do it. This is how we want to train teachers. This is how we want to incorporate ICT into our universities and basic education and all of that. But there's nothing.
I will focus on teacher education first. That's the biggest problem in primary and secondary education, the quality and the number of teachers. The professionalization of teaching in Nigeria is very terrible. Before, we used to celebrate teachers. Now teachers are things you do when you don't have any other job and you can't find jobs. So we need to focus and prioritize. So I'll prioritize teacher training and then curriculum review and how teachers can deliver this new fluid, 21st century curriculum. There's no point in having graduates with skills that don't match what they require in the industry. There's no point. There's no reason why that's acceptable. And then lastly, I want to end with the use of technology. I think, I recently met the NBC Executive Secretary, and he is very open to the use of technology. The idea is that as long as we can, every single new system has shortcomings. As long as we can plug those holes, as long as we can find out what happens if people are trying to fake their education, what happens when you look at all those scenarios, and then you can now plug them in and now ensure that the quality, like Aminu said, when we solve offline quality, we can now disperse that quality across every part of the country so that we don't have anybody left behind.
The presidency and the state governors from the Northeast, we need a dedicated team to help rebuild schools, to help train teachers so that the millions of kids in that area of Nigeria can have their life back. I mean, Boko Haram has done a lot of damage to the whole region and particularly to education. So we need a dedicated team and we need investment in education in the Northeast. This is a priority. I hope someone listens to this and sees this as a priority. Thank you.
All right, very well, guys. Thanks for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts, but that's where we have to leave the conversation. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, still in the same line, but a different perspective. Join us again.